A guy spent $10 million on the Phenom 300. His friend spent $7 million on the HondaJet. 3 years later, only one of them regrets it, and it's not who you think. Today we're breaking down exactly why, and by the end, you'll know which one of these jets is actually worth your money. Before we get into the numbers, you need to understand what these two machines actually represent, because they come from completely different worlds. Honda spent over 30 years building the HondaJet. Not 3 years, not 10, 30. Their engineers obsessed over every single detail: aerodynamics, engine placement, cabin design, until they had something nobody in aviation had ever seen before. When it finally launched, the industry didn't know what to make of it. A car company making jets? People were skeptical. Embraer, on the other hand, is a Brazilian aerospace powerhouse that's been building serious aircraft for decades. The Phenom 300 dropped in 2009, got refined into the 300E, and then just started winning. Best-selling light jet in the world multiple years in a row. It became the default answer whenever someone asked, which light jet should I buy? But here's the thing about default answers. They're comfortable, they're safe, and sometimes they're lazy. Let's talk numbers, because this is where the Phenom makes its strongest case. The Phenom 300E cruises at 453 knots and stretches its legs to nearly 1,971 nautical miles. It climbs faster than almost anything in its class, hits 45,000 feet, and carries up to 6 passengers while doing it. On paper, it's genuinely impressive, and those aren't just marketing numbers. Pilots actually feel that performance in the air. The HondaJet Elite II cruises at 422 knots and caps out at around 1,437 nautical miles of range. Slower, shorter, fewer passengers. If you're flying coast to coast regularly or hopping between countries, the Phenom's range advantage is real and it matters. This isn't a category where the HondaJet wins, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but we're only one chapter into this story. Remember that shocking little fact from the hook? Here it is. Honda did something in engineering that nobody else had the guts to try. They moved the engines off the rear fuselage and mounted them over the wings. Every other jet manufacturer thought that was crazy. Honda did it anyway, because it meant the entire rear cabin space was freed up completely. The result? The HondaJet has a wider, more open cabin than the Phenom 300, in a jet that costs nearly half the price. You get more shoulder room, more headroom, and this one matters more than people admit, a full private aft lavatory. Not a curtain, not a closet, an actual enclosed lavatory at the back of the plane. The Phenom's cabin is well designed, the materials are premium, and Embraer clearly put thought into the layout, but it's narrower, the lavatory is smaller, and when you're sitting in it for 3 hours, those things stop being minor details. Passengers who've flown both almost always prefer the feel of the HondaJet's interior. It just breathes differently in there. Both jets run Garmin's G3000 avionics suite, so at a baseline level, the cockpit experience is comparable. Pilots stepping into either aircraft will feel at home quickly. Where the Phenom earns extra respect is in its handling. Embraer built decades of flight dynamics knowledge into this aircraft, and it shows. Pilots describe the Phenom 300E as confidence-inspiring, responsive, stable, and forgiving even in tricky conditions. Charter pilots who've logged hours in both tend to have a quiet preference for the Phenom when it comes to actually flying the thing. The HondaJet is no slouch in the cockpit either. It's clean, modern, and intuitive. But if you're a pilot choosing your own aircraft, the Phenom's flight characteristics are genuinely hard to argue with. Now we get to the part that changes everything for most buyers. The HondaJet Elite II comes in at around $5.25 million new. The Phenom 300E, somewhere between $9 and $10 million depending on how you configure it. That's not a small gap. That's nearly double the acquisition cost. And it doesn't stop at purchase price. Operating costs, maintenance, insurance, the HondaJet is cheaper across the board. For an owner flying 200 to 300 hours a year, that difference compounds fast. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars over a few years. Now go back to those two guys from the beginning. The one who spent $9 million on the Phenom. He flies long routes, he needs that range, and the extra cost made sense for his specific use case. But his friend? He flies mostly regional trips, he entertains clients on board, and cabin comfort is everything to him. He spent $5 million. His passengers always comment on how spacious the jet feels, and he's banking the difference. 3 years later, the Phenom owner wishes he'd asked more questions before signing. Here's the honest truth. There's no single winner here, but there is a right answer for you. If your routes regularly push past 1,500 nautical miles, if you're a pilot who values handling above all else, and if maximum speed matters, buy the Phenom 300E. It's earned its reputation, and it deserves it. But if most of your flights are under 1,200 nautical miles, if you regularly have clients or guests on board, and if you understand that $4 million in savings is real money, the HondaJet Elite II will genuinely surprise you. It is a better cabin experience, full stop, and it costs half as much to get there. The Phenom is the best-selling light jet in the world. The HondaJet is the smartest purchase in the light jet world. Those are two very different things. So, which guy would you rather be? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely read every single one. If this broke it down in a way that actually helped, hit subscribe. We do honest aviation deep dives every week. No fluff, no sponsored opinions. See you in the next one.